On one hand, I understand completely why the Orlando Magic would make this move. The biggest hindrance that Orlando had last year was their inability to shoot the three. In fact, let me broaden it. Their lack of consistent offense is essentially what kind of did them in the playoffs. When Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are essentially your best two players, offensively it hasn't shown to be a winning formula. While they're good players and they could be, maybe, we don't know, but they could be the best player on a championship team. Who knows? We do know now that you need scoring around them, and the Orlando Magic just did not have enough scoring. On top of that, they were one of the worst three-point shooting teams in all of basketball. So I understand why you would go get Desmond Bane, who was one of the best three-point shooters in all of basketball last year. The reason why you probably didn't hear, I mean, he's not a star, but he was, the best player on Memphis majority of the time, seeing as though they dealt with a bunch of injury with John Morant and Triple J. Desmond Bane was left carrying the load, and he was one of the best three-point shooters in all of basketball. When we talk about volume-wise and when we talk about percentage. So I get it. It fills a huge need. KCP, he wasn't filling the role as I think they expected him to. Cole Anthony, he is a spark plug off the bench, but he's not really a consistent scorer. I get it. You essentially addressed one of, if not your biggest flaw. That is where the understanding stops when I talk about the Orlando side of it. When you hear Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, and essentially 4 first-round picks, that type of package is built for a star. That type of package, you can get a star. 4 first-round picks and some pick swaps. That is a star player that you can get with that package. No offense to Desmond Bane, but I don't think he is on that level of stardom that warrants that type of return. Again, if I would have heard that, right? If I would have heard KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 first-round picks with some pick swaps, I would have thought, damn, did they go get someone like KD? Did they go get someone like Giannis? That's what that's worth. And even if you think, okay, they're probably worth more. They can let's do the secondary star market. Maybe someone like Darius Garland. Maybe someone like who's on that secondary star level, in my opinion. Someone like J-Dub. Then I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. But I don't even think, and that, again, none of this is offense to Desmond Bane. This is just reality. I don't think Desmond Bane is on that level. So while I get that you address your biggest need, it's essentially at what cost? While you can say that with Desmond Bane and with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner as your best players, you can say that that is a championship caliber team. But that would just be a saying. You would just say it. That hasn't been proven yet. What has been proven is a team that has Paolo Banchero, that has Franz Wagner as their best players, is a playoff team, is a really good team, but not a championship caliber team. That would be more factual. Until we see it, until they make a deep playoff run, you can't say that a team with, again, Paolo and Franz is a championship caliber team. I say all that to say this. As much as Desmond Bane addresses one of the biggest needs for the team, I don't think that this makes them any closer to a championship caliber team. Even with Desmond Bane, I wouldn't put them ahead of the Pacers. I wouldn't put them ahead of the Cavaliers. I wouldn't put them ahead of the healthy Bucks. I wouldn't put them ahead of the Boston Celtics. And while I'm not upset that they made the trade, I get it. What is confusing to me is why you gave that much for a player that, in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, is an upgrade, but not a championship caliber upgrade. Desmond Bane is a good player. He's a good defender. He's a great he's turned into a great three-point shooter, but he, in my opinion, is not a championship caliber player. In the sense of, he's not one of those players where if you put him on a team that is not seen as a championship caliber team, he just makes them one. No, that's not the case. If you put Desmond Bane on the Denver Nuggets, that might be something different, but they're already viewed as a championship caliber team. If you put Desmond Bane on the on the Minnesota Timberwolves, that might change things because they were just in the Western Conference Finals. They're viewed as a championship caliber team. You putting him on the Magic, in my opinion, doesn't make them a championship caliber team, but you gave such a haul for him. It's like you're essentially forfeiting your future for a player that doesn't necessarily give you a ginormous return in the present. It doesn't. You can say that they're trying to go in a championship direction, but this move doesn't put them there, in my opinion. So why would you give that much? It goes back to, I don't know. I don't know why you would. I understand why you would make the move. I don't understand why you would give that much for the move. Again, if you were getting KD, I understand that completely. Hell, you might have been able to get KD with that package. But Desmond Bane ain't KD. Desmond Bane being your third option doesn't make you a champ. Hasn't shown to make you a championship caliber team, in my humble opinion. And it's not really just my opinion. We've seen it. He's been a third option for Memphis majority of his career. And I think the second round is the furthest they've gotten. So again, man, I get it for the Orlando Magic side, but it's just like you gave up a lot for a player that hasn't really shown that he's worth what you just gave up. When I talked about the Lakers, I said that there are teams, whether you want to admit it or not, there are teams that aren't really focused on winning necessarily. I'm not going to essentially accuse them of not. I'm not going to, accuse the Memphis Grizzlies of not caring about winning. But what I will say is this move doesn't make sense in a winning aspect. And I'll say it like this. If you make this move and then you go ahead and trade John Morant, you go ahead and trade Jaren Jackson Jr., that shows the direction that you're trying to start it up. This move right here is a rebuild starter. You trade your third best player. You get a bunch of picks. You get some dispensable players. This is a franchise restart. Now you just have to follow through and trade the best player in John Morant and trade the second best player, or in some people's eyes, first best player in Jaren Jackson Jr. While you're not focused on winning, you do have a clear direction. And your direction is, okay, the current iteration of what we have isn't good enough to win. Even at our healthiest, we have not been seen as a championship caliber team. We've tried it, hasn't worked. So we're going to rebuild. We're going to restart, tear it down from the floor, or we'll tear it all down and start the rebuild. While, again, you're not focused on winning right now, you have a clear direction as a franchise. That is what a move like trading Desmond Bane would look like. Or that would be essentially one of the starting pieces of a rebuild. Here's where I say the team may not care about winning, because your actions speak much louder than your words. And I know that at this very moment, anything can change. But at this very moment, the Memphis Grizzlies have come out and said that they are going to keep John Morant and going to keep Jaren Jackson Jr. Mind you, let's not forget, they fired their coach, a week or two before the playoffs. Yet another move that would spell, oh, we're not really focused on winning. We're focused on a rebuild, a teardown. If the Golden State Warriors can teach you anything, it's that playing a two-era timeline doesn't work. The Golden State Warriors was playing they were playing with two timelines. They were trying to essentially do a rebuild while trying to compete for a championship with Steph, with Clay, with Draymond Green. You have those three, and obviously you win in 2022. But now look at the team. All the players that you were trying to rebuild with, whether we talk about Jordan Poole, whether we talk about James Wiseman, whether we're talking about Moses Moody, whether we're talking about Jonathan Kuminga, 2 of those 4 players are gone. One of which, Jonathan Kuminga, is looked to be gone before next season. I brought that up because you can't say, we're still committed to winning. We're still going to build around someone like John Morant, someone like Jaren Jackson Jr. But then you make a move like trade Desmond Bane for a bunch of picks. It's smart when you get the picks, and it's smart. That is a smart move for an organization that has said we're going to rebuild. Because if you're not trying to rebuild and you're trying to win, which they said they were, that makes you worse. KCP didn't work in Orlando. You think he's going to now work in Memphis? Cole Anthony didn't work in Orlando. You think he's going to work in Memphis? So it's like, make up your mind. What do you want? What are you going to be? Because you can't say that you care about winning. You can't say we're going to keep our 2 building blocks. But you just knocked down one of the 3 pillars that you had. I don't know much about a Coliseum, but I don't think it can really stand on 2 pillars when your third one was strong enough. Again, I'm not saying that they were strong enough to win a championship, but they were much closer to a championship with Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and John Morant than they were now. So again, it looks like they were trying to cut costs because they know how much Desmond Bane is going to cost. They know that they're going to have to pay Jaren Jackson Jr. like $300 million. $300+ million because he was on a defensive team. And I think he won Defensive Player of the Year last year. Like, and just imagine when John Morant gets back fully healthy, he's probably going to make an All-NBA team, meaning he's going to be worth upwards of $300+ million. So what it seems like, I could be wrong because no one has come out and said, but what it seems like is they're trying to save money because they know that Desmond Bane is going to cost, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to cost, and John Morant's going to cost. And instead of paying that, they let Desmond Bane go. That's what it looks like. Because you can't say, oh, no, we're still committed to winning. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because if you're committed to winning, Desmond Bane is better than whatever the hell you just got from the Orlando Magic. And on top, and I do understand because it's like I don't even think that they were a championship caliber team in the first place. But still, you're closer to a championship with those three than without one of them. So I think in conclusion of this topic, you either commit to winning or you commit to a rebuild. But it seems like their actions are committing to a rebuild, but their words are saying you're committed to winning. Because you can't make this move and say that you're committed to winning. In the same breath, say we're keeping John Morant, keeping Jaren Jackson Jr. You had them, and it didn't work. And you traded essentially the most consistent piece out of that trio. I'm not saying he's not the best, but he's the most consistent. Whether we talk about plays, time missed, shooting, like, I don't know, man. Again, winning looks different for different people. Winning looks different for different organizations, but it doesn't seem like the Memphis Grizzlies are the most committed to winning, even though that's what they say they are. Again, your actions are always going to speak louder than your words. And what this shows, your actions is saying, we're committed. We know how much Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant's about to cost. Let's get in front of that and trade someone else that we had to pay. So again, you're not really focused. Your number one priority isn't winning as much as it is saving money. Which, as much as people don't want to admit, some teams don't care too much about winning. They don't. But shout out to the Grizzlies. Shout out to Orlando. Shout out to Desmond Bane. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.